What does it take to build a strong, sustainable, and dominant business model? This is literally the billion-dollar question. We all know the impact that lockdowns have had over the last year on businesses, on behavior of individuals, and driving all interaction online, or a lot of interaction. This has really had a lasting impact on business, as it's changed individuals' behavior and it's changed individuals' expectations of how companies deal with them online. Entrepreneurs who are able to adapt their business models, as well as start up new business models, have an unprecedented opportunity to build things that meet these emerging needs. But how do we go about that? Now, some of the questions are answered in this book. The book is called 0 to 1. It has been a hugely thought-provoking book for us here at Comotion. And it's a collection of thoughts and notes from PayPal founder Peter Thiel that contains a couple of nuggets of wisdom. And it's really just about wisdom on starting new business models. It really is a good read. One of the things that he outlines is how to build a monopoly. Now, obviously that's a very negative word for anyone who believes in the free market. But what he outlines are ways of carving out sustainable competitive advantage within whatever business model you're going into. Now, there's a couple of lessons in here. I'll go through them. There's 4 key traits of how to build a sustainable business model. The first is what he calls proprietary technology. Now, proprietary technology is just something that your business does, or that a startup does, that is difficult to replicate, firstly, and secondly, is 10 times better than anything else. An example is Amazon. When Amazon launched, on day 1, they had 10 times the number of books than any Barnes & Noble, than any of their nearest competitors, simply because they didn't have to stock all the books in one physical store. Their approach to selling books was from day 1 10 times better than the competition. A local example is 60/60, which is an app that was launched by local retailer Checkers. They've really done an excellent job at the grocery home delivery service, to the point where you can order from any of their coverage areas on their well-designed app, and your delivery will be delivered within 60 minutes. That's why they call it 60/60. It was launched right as we were going into the original lockdown, and really is a significant step change from what has been available in the market before. The whole experience is 10 times better. That is an example of everything coming together to form proprietary technology, or something that is 10 times better. In the pharmaceutical industry, this would be something like a patented drug that only your company has the right to produce. I guess we all know about the vaccines that are emerging now for COVID-19. Companies that have spent a lot of money investing in those drugs now own some kind of proprietary technology which they have at their disposal, and it really drives their business models. All right, so that was proprietary technology. The second trait of a sustainable or dominant business model. Now, just bearing in mind, you don't need all of these traits, you need one or more to build a sustainable, dominant business model. The second is network effects. Now, what is network effect? A network effect describes a product that gets more valuable as other people join it. We all know about Facebook. It would be very difficult now to build a competitor to Facebook, because everybody's on Facebook. When I go onto Facebook, I see all my friends there. I see mostly probably things I don't really want to see and not interested in, but at least all my friends are there. And that describes the network effect that Facebook has for it. If I go onto a competitor of Facebook, more than likely the people that I want to interact with are not there, and therefore it's less valuable as a product. Payment systems are another good example. PayPal, a good example of network effects. If the person who I want to pay is not using the system or can't gain access to the system, there is limited value for me using that payment system. But there are other kind of network effects. To foster network effects, you either need to start small in a niche network, in a focused area, or leverage an existing network that you have already. So an example of the first one is Facebook. Actually, again, they focused on a sub-niche of the market within individual college campuses, and because of that, we're able to get to that critical mass of network very quickly within that community, and then obviously expand it to the global platform that they are today. In terms of leveraging existing networks, a good example is Pepkor locally. Pepkor is a retailer focusing on the low-income markets in South Africa, and they used their footprint of stores to launch something called Paxi, which is a way of moving packages between their stores using their logistics network. So they use their existing network to offer an additional service that effectively just use their spare capacity within that network, and is a valuable service to a lot of people to be able to send packages cost effectively around South Africa. That really is the innovation that they've used to leverage their network for a new service that is now very valuable to customers. That is network effects. The third trait of a dominant business model is economies of scale. Now, this is something that I think is perhaps better understood and more established as an idea within business. This describes the effect that unit costs of production, so whatever it is you're selling, reduce as your company, as your business model gets larger. Now, this is due to the fact that overheads are spread over a larger quantity of units, of actual products sold, and things like your engineering costs, marketing costs, and the like are now spread over a broader number of units. Now, software companies are a good example of this. Once you've designed your software and released it, obviously you need to scale your business as your company scales, but you only have to design a piece of software once for multiple users to make use of that. Another example is car companies, which have to design a single design of a car and then sell multiple units. It's much easier or much more cost effective to design one car that sells a larger number of units, simply because your engineering costs are split between those individual units. That is economies of scale. The last one is brand. Now, the idea of brand is a very powerful differentiator. Now, brand is not simply your logo and your color scheme and say your website and the like. Brand speaks to the ethos of the company and the ability for that company to deliver on their promises. So obviously the good example of this is always Apple, right? Apple manages to continuously deliver, well, they make the brand promise that their products are fundamentally high quality and meet needs in a simple way, and they manage to deliver on that promise, at least in the eyes of their customers, on an ongoing basis. Apple fans are some of the most committed individuals to a brand that you can come across, and that's because they trust the brand promise and they trust the quality that's ultimately delivered from that brand promise. So just to recap quickly, the 4 traits of a dominant business model, you can find it in this book, 0 to 1, are proprietary technology, something that is 10 times better than whatever is out there already, and that your firm or your company or your startup owns the rights to and is difficult to replicate. The second is network effects. That is the effect that a product gets more valuable the broader the network of users gets. The third is economies of scale, which describes the effect that your unit costs reduce as your scale, as the size of your business model increases. And brand, which is ultimately the promise that you make to consumers and the ability of your company and your entire delivery network value chain has to deliver on those promises. If you're interested in finding a little bit more out about our company, we are Comotion Business Solutions. We are a software development company specializing in the life insurance industry. We develop both transactional and analytical systems and analytics platforms. If you're interested, check out our website, comotion.us. We'll put a link in the description. Thanks for your time.